Hello, I'm excited to tell you about this brand new course, How to Plan a Homeschool Unit Study. I've been using the unit study approach for many years. It wasn't my first one, it wasn't my first approach. Like many new homeschoolers, the only approach I really knew about was the workbook approach, textbook, and I felt like that was really learning. Well, I didn't really feel that way. Really didn't know any other choice. But like many homeschoolers who jump into the homeschool world and lifestyle and realize an approach doesn't work for their children, regardless of how much I thought I liked it as the teacher, because it made me feel good checking off lists, I realized it wasn't working for my children. I started off with the workbook approach. I moved on to the classical approach. There's things I liked or facets I liked about each one of them, but again, they did not meet the needs of my children better. Let me tell you first about myself before we hop into this course. My name is Tina Robertson. I've been homeschooling well over 20 years. I have 3 homeschooled grads. I've helped hundreds and hundreds of new homeschoolers get on the path to homeschooling through my boot camp, which is now online. In addition, I've listened to many of you and have separated my boot camp down into different parts because sometimes, even if we're not new, there's still some parts of homeschooling that we want the details on. So I've separated that boot camp into different courses like homeschool organization for beginners, teaching the stages of homeschool, and how to choose curriculum wisely. So there's a lot of other things that I can explain about myself as we go through the course, but this is mostly about you. I just wanted you to know those few things. Let me talk about a few other things before I hop into the course and explaining about it. Um, it's important to choose a homeschool approach. Not all new homeschoolers, not even some who've been homeschooling for a while, realize that really you have chosen a homeschool approach. Maybe you did it unintentionally, but you've chosen the approach that's best for your family. And perhaps if you're new, maybe you just did an approach by default, like I did when I first started because it was the only one we knew. And here's the thing, my mom homeschooled way back. She homeschooled my youngest sister. She didn't homeschool me. But at the time, all she had access to basically were workbooks and textbooks. So she used what she had, and that's what I knew. But then again, like I mentioned earlier, we realize it doesn't work for our kids. So we have to find an approach. There's 5 major homeschool approaches. That's not all of them, but it's the major ones. It's the only ones I mentioned. There's 5 major homeschool approaches, and I think I probably use a little bit from each one. I think I probably fall, like most homeschoolers, into the category of saying we're eclectic. Yes, we are. We mix and match, but we always have one that we lean strong toward. And for me, it's the unit study approach. And the reason I lean toward it is because I feel it's mastery for my children. Now, there are some things about it that make it harder for other homeschoolers. And first, I want you to understand about myself. I like organized lesson plans. I like day to day knowing exactly what we're going to do. I roll very organized. So when I jumped into the unit study approach, it went against everything of my teaching personality. It was opposite because I felt like it was more shoot from the hip. So the point I'm making is that with any approach, you have to make it your own. You have to make the approach fit your family, which is what I did with the homeschool unit study approach. Because in the day, there wasn't that much homeschool unit studies. And today, there's a few more that have a homeschool unit study approach, but they add in another type of approach like Charlotte Mason or workbook or something into it. So that works well for some families too if you don't have a lot of time to plan. But here's my point. I'm not afraid of hard work, and I want my efforts to count. And the reason I chose the homeschool unit study approach, like I explained earlier, is because it is a mastery approach. I want to stay on a subject long enough till my children's interests are piqued and satisfied. And for us, that meant not returning to a lot of the subjects because we had studied them so much in depth in the beginning. And that's the same for a lot of homeschoolers who use the unit study approach. So those are some of the reasons that can make it harder, because there's not as many detailed lesson plans, and sometimes it's harder to gauge progress or to grade. But I have tips for those two that I'm going to talk about in the course. So I'm glad you've joined me in this course. I can't wait to get started. Let's get into it.